Hi, I'm Randy Milhammer, the Righteous Teacher. I'm also the founder of the Cherubim Federation. For those of you who may have seen my video, the last video about the Federation, I talked a little bit about the why of the Federation, why the Federation should be built, will be built. And so from that point, what I would like to emphasize is this. Now, I know that some of you, as I stated last time, some of you will not embrace the Federation. I already know this. But I have to tell you that my duty is to simply warn you. Okay, I'm simply a warner. I'm simply a messenger. Okay, I'm not a prophet. Okay, nothing spectacular like that. I'm a God-fearing man who believes in God and has been chosen to deliver a message. It's that simple. Now, as I stated last time, there are two gates open, okay? And it's going to be up to your heart as to which gate you go through, okay? Now, if your heart is in the right place, your heart will come to the Federation. If your heart is not in the right place, it won't. It's that simple. But what I would like to try and do is step outside the boundaries and try to show you and help you to convince you that this is something that is righteous and something that you need, okay? And it's very, very important. It's really the most important thing in your life that you could ever do, ever embrace, would be the Federation, okay? Because of where we're headed. There's 5 points on that star that I posted a little while back on Facebook. Now, I'm going to put that star on the channel, on the YouTube channel as well. But let me say this, okay? Now, the Federation is something that is, as I stated, the most important thing that you could ever do in your life, okay? Because we are the generation who has been passed the marathon, has been passed the baton, okay, for the final leg of the marathon. We are that generation. Okay, I know this, okay, and all I can do is tell you this. Whether you believe it or not, that's on you, okay? Now, my job is to tell you I am simply a messenger, not a prophet, okay? None of that, okay? And I don't claim to be none of that. There's no madness in me. I'm not a crazy person. I'm simply a warner, okay? I've been chosen to give a message. I've been chosen to do something, and that's what I'm doing. Now, let me say this, okay? I want to try and help as many as possible. Now, we must build the Federation, the Cherubim Federation. And for those of you who are not familiar with the Federation and what the Federation means, the Cherubim means, hey, look it up, okay? I'm not going to get into all that right now. At some point, I will, and we will. But right now, I won't. Now, let me try to help you. Because many of you are committing one of the most grave sins there is. And I have to say this, and I can't be afraid of losing friends. I can't be afraid of pissing someone off, angering someone. I can't be afraid of any of those things. Because the day that I start ducking and dodging and trying to, shirk the responsibility and trying to spare the feelings and so forth and so on, that's the day I become a liar. That's the day I start lying about this. And I will not lie when it comes to this, because this mission is too important. It's just too important. And I'm not going to risk losing my soul, okay, for that. So I'm sorry. If I anger you, I'm sorry. I don't know if my family members remember, but there was some years back when we used to gather, and we attempted to start a family foundation for various reasons. We used to hold cookouts and et cetera, et cetera. And we had a meeting once at a particular place, and I told everyone there, I said, look, if I've offended any of you, please forgive me. I did my part when I asked for forgiveness. Okay? Now, if you choose not to, that's on you. Okay? But I'll tell you this. if you're not willing to forgive your brothers and your sisters, when I say brothers and sisters, I mean, I don't mean just your immediate family, okay? I mean other people who are descendants of slaves, who are pigmented people. I'm not asking you to forgive Europeans for anything. That's not what I'm asking you. And I'll explain that a little bit later. Now, but if you're not willing to forgive, don't you ask for forgiveness on the day of judgment for you, okay? Because you may not be given it. I'm not saying that you won't. I say that you may not be given that forgiveness, okay? So please be mindful of that. Now, let me say this. Again, I may anger people, but I can't help it, and I'm not going to say I'm sorry for it, because I'm not. Okay, if I anger you for what I say. But listen, my people who consider yourselves Christians, who consider yourselves the worshipers of the cross, the worshipers of the European Jesus. Okay, no. I know some of you say, well, Jesus was not a European. Well, maybe. Well, no. Jesus, the Jesus that the Europeans created, is a European, was a European. Okay, still is a European. Now, whether you want to take that and reframe that and change that, that's on you. But the Jesus that you're worshiping is a European. Okay, now here's what happened. They took part of his character from the original Messiah, whose name is Esau. They took Esau's part of his character, they took it and they put it in a framework and in scriptures and called him Jesus and gave him to you. That's what happened. Okay? Now, let me say this, because this is very important. Brother Esau never said that he was the Son of God, as in the S-O-N. Okay? His peers referred to him as the Son of God, as in the S-U-N. Okay? As representation of light, which represents knowledge. Okay? Bringing people out of darkness into light. Okay, nighttime is dark, daytime is light, because the sun is up. What gives you light? The sun, the S-U-N. And that's what he was referred to as, the S-U-N, not S-O-N. The Europeans, when they created their Jesus, they replaced the U with an O. Okay? Now, whether it was a error or whether it was deliberate, so be it. There it is. Because see, what you have to understand, and you gotta be mindful of this, is that if God Almighty, the creator, the originator of all the heavens and all the earth, has people, if God has what God calls his people, then don't you think that Satan or Shaitan would also have people? Okay. Now, some of you have heard me before, and you know how I refer to Europeans. Then let me clarify something. I hate no one. I'm not a hater of no one. It's not my job. It's not my responsibility, and I don't have the right to hate anyone. Okay? But I most certainly do not hate Europeans. But I have a responsibility. That responsibility is to tell the truth, is to enlighten you, bring you out of darkness into light. That's my responsibility on you. Now, For those of you who may be offended, I say to you, go read, go learn, go research. Ask God to guide you and show you the truth. If you ask, you'll get it. That's all you have to do is ask for it. You'll get it. I guarantee you. That's what I did. I'm going to tell you a little story. How I came to this. One day, and this was some years back, a friend of mine and I stopped at a produce market in a town called South Haven, Mississippi. It was a Sunday evening. And we stopped at the produce market. We got out of the vehicle. On the way in, there was a lot of watermelons out front. And I don't want to get into all this, but I'm trying to show you something. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to show you that you're in error. Although your father, your mothers, your grandmothers, your great-grandparents perhaps, was companions of the cross, the church. But that does not mean that you have to continue in that wrong, because that's what it is once you know the truth. Now, so we get out. Watermelons out front. Coming out was a couple and a little boy. Little boy looked like he could have been maybe about 5 to 7 years old. The little boy pulled on his daddy's hand. He said, Daddy, watermelons for the niggers? And we were so outdone, we couldn't say anything. All we could do is just look. I mean, it was just, to me, it was such a shock. And this was years ago when this happened. But since that time, what I did when I got home is I cried out. I cried out to God, and I literally gave God an ultimatum. I gave God an ultimatum. I said, either show me the truth or I walk away. I will never practice religion and worship ever again. That's what I said. I said, you got to show me. This is unreal. This is not natural for a child that young, okay, to refer to me as a nigger. Although at that time I didn't fully understand the full meaning of nigger. And I didn't really understand, I guess you can say, the concept of nigger. Now, meaning and concept, two different things. But anyway, so I delivered an ultimatum. Now, trust me, the little boy probably didn't even really have any intentions of harm or hurt, But that's what he was taught. He was taught that by probably his grandparents and his parents, perhaps. But more than likely grandparents. Because grandparents, when it comes to Europeans, grandparents always take the responsibility of teaching the heritage to the grandkids, as well as the inheritance over to the grandkids. So that's why I say more than likely it was that. But I learned later also who they were and why they had that or felt that way about us, because of who they are and who we are. That's why they feel that way. Now, something else we got to understand. Okay, it's not just Europeans. Okay, that does not care for pigmented people. Okay, if you go out across the earth, and I've traveled to different parts of the world. I've been, I guess you can say, fortunate enough to travel international. Been to Europe, Spain, Canada, China, doing the work that I do. So, something else you got to, but you don't really have to go out of the country to recognize this. But South Americans also. South Americans are not partial to pigmented people, black people, African Americans especially. Most of the people dislike African Americans more than they do any other race on the earth. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But also the Asians. Asians don't care for African Americans. The Arabs don't care for African Americans. Okay? The Europeans don't care for African Americans. The South Americans, again, don't care for African Americans. North Americans, North American Europeans don't care for African Americans. Nobody care for African Americans. That's the cold, hard fact for you. Okay? And the reason being is because all those groups I just called, they're also a lineage of Europeans. Okay? They are a runoff of Europeans. Okay? So what you got to understand is that I'm gonna jump off the road for a minute and say this. What you got to understand is that the original people of the world, of the earth, were black, pigmented people. And they were so dark, it was almost like blue-black. Okay? And I'll tell you how Europeans came along, but that will be for another story. Now, let me go on and say this. Now, once I gave the ultimatum, a knowledge of burning came within me. I'd had such a thrust for knowledge. I began to learn and understand. And when I say knowledge, I don't mean just knowledge that I picked up from books, because I used to have in my home down in Olive Branch, when I lived on James Black Cove, I used to have books. I used to have a room that if you walk into it, you would think it was a library. So many books. I used to get up on Saturday mornings, go to garage sales, and all I looked for was books. But I was looking for particular type books. I looked for books of humanity, religion, history, things of that sort. That's what I looked for. And those were the kind of books that I studied and I read. And I studied for over 20 years. You know, the knowledge that I have, most people would be considered a scholar for the knowledge that, you know, that in the studies that I have indulged in. I was never particularly concerned with English. English was never one of my favorite subjects. Math was my subject, because math was more in the tune of logic. So I navigated towards logic all my life. Now, when I say that I had a thirst for knowledge, I had an experience that also guided me to Islam right after that. And I learned how to pray and worship properly. Okay? Because some people are feuding over religion. And there are some people say, well, you know, this is the correct religion. Some people say, well, no, this is the correct religion. And some people say, well, we don't need religion at all. You know, all we need to do is just believe in God and da-da-da-da-da. But here's where that thin line gets thinner. Is because, see, everything in life comes with instructions. Okay? And so with that, there's also must be instructions to life. So what is the best of instructions? Quran. Quran gives you the best of instructions. Okay? Although I believe that some of it could have been altered by the European Arabs. Yeah, the European Arabs is what's in rule today in North Africa. The European Arabs. The original Arabs were dark-skinned, pigmented people. But because of the Christian Crusaders, okay, they were basically ran out of North Africa. The original Arabs, under the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and all the prophets, including Brother Isha, they were dark skinned. He were dark skinned. He were also a part of what most people know today as the Moors. Okay, the Moors is a bloodline of the original prophets. The Moors who came into Europe, who came into Spain and gave Europe and Spain knowledge of irrigation, architect, proper hygiene, etc., etc. Those people was part of the original, that Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, was part of the original Moors. It wasn't until the European Christian Crusaders went in and with the swords and the guns and said, well, we're going to everything black, everything dark, gotta go. We'll come in, and ravish the women and do what is called the rabbit fencing. The rabbit fencing, if you don't know what rabbit fencing is, look it up and study it, what rabbit fencing is, and you'll know. Now, moving on. So, I had a thirst for knowledge. My thirst for knowledge led me to study, fast, and pray diligently at that time. And when I did that, the knowledge came, and the knowledge hasn't stopped since. My cup runneth over, with knowledge. And so since that time, I have come to understand a lot of things. And these are some of the things that I'm teaching, that I'm telling, and I'm trying to convince you, my Christian friends and families, that what you're doing is wrong. And you're going to have to come out of it if you want to have the heart to enter into the proper gate, because it won't be long now. We're entering a period now where we are approaching the very last days. We are in the final judgment period right now, okay? And I think I've talked about that before. We can go back over it once again some other time, but we're in the final judgment period. This final judgment period, what comes next, you know what comes next, okay? Now, what has to happen is that we have to begin to navigate and put ourselves in a position where we can be, where we can enter into what is called rapture, a rapture stage now. So what you guys have to do is you're going to have to understand something. Now, I have a page on my Facebook, Munim Ilhama original page, called the Cherubim Federation. What I need for as many of you to do is to go there and follow that page, okay? Because I'm going to be putting topics on that page. Also, the YouTube videos will start going up, and the Now Television Network will be launching soon. So what I'm going to need, we have to start, and we have to work. We have to work fast. We have to work diligently now, okay? Most of our meetings will be team meetings, okay? So what I'll do is once I get everything set up, I'm going to need everybody to come in and pull. We're going to have to pull together. Now, listen up. Once we do this, okay, we're going to come under fire. And so we're going to have to be prepared for this. We're going to have to be prepared to defend ourselves, okay? Because at this point right here, this is where Satan or Shaitan, as we want to say, where the gloves come off, okay? Now, you got to understand something. Shaitan's goal is to pull as many of us into hellfire as possible. That's Shaitan's mission. And let me elaborate on that mission real quick, because I don't want this video to go over 30 minutes. And we're already at 25. Now, let me elaborate real quick. Shaitan. Shaitan was once an angel, or Satan was once an angel. When God created mankind from black mud, molded, shapen into shape, and breathed air into mankind, gave mankind life, Shaitan, the angels was ordered to bow down to man, submit to mankind. Because why? Because mankind was created in God's image. Okay, so they was committed, and they was ordered to bow down to mankind. They all bowed down except for one. That angel was named Iblis. Okay, and some may know that angel as was once angel as Lucifer or whatever. I've heard people refer to the angel, the once angel, as by different names, many names. But what you have to understand is that this angel said, "Why should I bow down to man? I'm better than man." Iblis, Satan, thought that he or it was better than we, because Shaitan or Satan was a different type of angel. Shaitan was a beautiful angel. Shaitan could transform itself into various things, characters. Shaitan was an angel that were to inspire us with knowledge, but a particular type of knowledge, a technical knowledge, only a technical knowledge that you could read in books, okay, acquire, okay, to build things, to create things like that, only things, okay. So Satan figured that he was better. Well, Shaitan refused to bow. So the order was given to Shaitan. So, well, if you refuse to bow, you get forth from here. You're a rebellious one. You're a rebel. Shaitan was called the rebel angel. And when Shaitan refused to bow down, and he was expelled. And Shaitan, but before Shaitan was expelled, Shaitan gave a statement. Shaitan said, "I'm better than they are." And Shaitan says, "I should never have to bow to mankind, because when I get through with them, all they're going to be doing is fighting one another. They'll be fighting. There'll be fusion. There'll be confusion. I'll bring hell early on them." And so it was. Now, something else. Shaitan knew before mankind knew. The only one who knew what Shaitan had said was brother Esau, whom the Europeans mimicked as Jesus. He was the only one who knew. He told people that when he went to do his Ramadan in the mountains, Ramadan is a 30-day fast, but some people add an additional 10 days to it, in which Brother Esau, peace be upon him, did. He added an additional 10 days. When he was there in the mountain doing his Ramadan, Shaitan came to him. And Shaitan told him, said, "If you worship and serve me, I give you all the cities of the world." He showed him all the cities glitter. He showed him the cars moving, the things moving in the night lights. That's what created the glitter. And he showed him the Las Vegas. He showed him the New Yorks. He showed him the Paris, France. He showed him Dubai in Arabia. He showed him all those places. And he told him, he said, "If you worship me, I'll give you these. It'll be all yours. It'll be in your name. I put everything in your. I'll have everything will be in your name." But Brother Esau said, "No. I'm only to worship the Creator." And so Shaitan or Satan said, "Well, if you refuse, I'll have them worshiping you. You're going to be the one I'll have them worship. I'll have them calling your name." He said, and then some I'll have them worshiping the trees, the moon, the stars. He said, but they'll rise in the morning, they'll sell in the evening, and they'll not even mention the name of your Creator. They'll not even mention the name of your Creator. And so it was. Thank you. Peace and blessings to you. Until next time.